Yo, what's up guys? I'm Raga.
I'm Ewan, and today we're going to talk about a bit of surf foiling, talk about the differences between high aspect and low aspect foils, and a bit of the setup that I'm riding.
Sick, yeah, because you're kind of doing some prone surf foiling, is that what you call it?
To be honest, I just call it like surf foiling.
Surf foiling, yeah.
A lot of people call it prone foiling. I think now that there's so many different types of foiling,
So many.
you kind of got to differentiate between them somehow. If you tell someone surf foiling now, they're gonna ask, so you got a wing with you? Are you sapping? Are you proning or whatever? But I guess proning just means like using your own arms.
Yeah, kind of a funny word, but surf foiling sounds a little cooler, I think.
Yeah, exactly. So I think proning's like definitely come about with the foiling industry. But I mean I'm doing a lot of different foiling, pretty much all the aspects except sapping, I'd say. Kind of wing every now and then. I'm not great at it, but if there's a wing around, I'll take it for a spin. And then I do a lot of kite foiling as well, and I think that definitely a lot of the kite foiling helped me learn surf foiling. I'm a terrible surfer. I've only just learnt in the last year, about a year ago.
I watched you catch some pretty big waves the other day. I wouldn't say you're terrible.
I've surfed a lot in the last year being stuck at home, but I only learnt a year ago and as I was learning to surf, I decided to learn to surf foil as well. So it was pretty funny. I'd be paddling around with a super hunched over back, just struggling to paddle, and people like, who's this kook? And then I'd get up and I'd usually blow my takeoffs, but if I did manage to stick my takeoff, then I think the kite foiling, if you've got that experience, once you're up and you know how foil works, that experience pays off.
It translates over pretty well,
you say? It translates over super well.
Nice.
Like for your first wave, a couple, you're kind of feeling like you want to be holding something and leaning off something when you turn, but once you forget about that, for sure, like a lot of it translates over, and I could surf foil, if it was easy waves and I could get up and stand up, the kite foiling translates over a lot and I could carve around pretty alright. But then just learning to read the waves and all that took me quite a while. And
that's the trick, isn't it?
The paddle strength and endurance and standing up at the right time, standing up quickly and putting your feet in the right spot, like that took me a little bit to get, but at least, stuck at home last winter through COVID and all that, we have great waves at home in winter, and I just spent every day surfing or surf foiling for a few months. So
pretty lucky in Australia,
it paid off.
huh?
Yeah, we had a good spot to be stuck for a year.
So what foilers are you using, and what's the difference?
Yeah, I used the whole Naish setup. I learnt on a 5.2 board, which was the Hover Ascend from like 2 years ago. It was kind of a square nose, big volume board, just because it helped me paddling around and just easier to stand up on small waves. But once I got up, I kind of wanted to, because I kite foil on a 97 centimeter board, it's like 3 foot something.
Yeah.
I found when I got on that, when I got up, I just wanted a small board, so I got on the 4.4 Ascend, which is the smallest one Naish make for paddle foiling.
Okay.
And I just wanted to learn on that. I knew if I just stuck to that and learnt on it, I'd just get used to it.
Sure, start small and work your way through the
carbon
curve.
board that's small just feels so much better once you're up on the floor. So I just wanted to stick with that. Then I used a 75 centimeter mast, which is a pretty standard surf foil length. Any longer, you're a lot of spots, because you're catching such small waves, a lot of spots you're just touching the bottom with an 85.
Yeah.
And also, I actually feel like you're a lot more balanced and you can turn harder on a 75 mast just because your center of gravity is closer to the foil, or you don't have as much tip weight. And then, I go between a few different foils, but my go-to usually is the 1250 Jet, which is a fairly low aspect wing.
Okay.
In general, in surfing, in foiling, a lower aspect wing will turn a lot better, but it's less efficient and it won't pump quite as well. And then a high aspect one, so I go between that and sometimes ride the 1240 high aspect, which is the same size, square centimeters, only 10 centimeters less, but it's about 30 centimeters wider wingspan, so it looks like a far bigger foil, and it's really efficient wing. It's super narrow, low profile, really efficient, and it pumps really well. Once you get going on the speed, you can glide a lot further and you can pump it for
I saw you yesterday. You were just kind of going for a turn. The waves weren't even there.
Yeah, you can get on like the tiniest wave, and once you're up, it's just you just pump around looking for something. And then if you find a little bit of chop, it just takes that so much easier.
I saw that, yeah.
But it's definitely you have to be a little bit more stable on it, as it's quite high aspect and wide. You need to be ready when you turn. You need to be ready to turn back the other way already. Whereas with the low aspect wings, they're a lot more stable, a lot easier to learn on, a lot more forgiving, but they're not quite as efficient as, like, they won't glide as far and they don't pump as well. I put the high aspect back wing on the low aspect foil, which kind of opens it up a bit and makes it a little more efficient. It doesn't drag quite as much at the back.
You move it back?
Sorry?
You move it back, you said?
No, I put the high aspect rear wing on the low aspect front wing.
Oh, okay.
So then it kind of just, because the back wing, the 320 that comes standard with the Jet, it's really great for learning and it's really stable, but it's a little bit bigger and a little bit draggier than the high aspect back wing. So if I pair the high aspect rear with the low aspect front, I have a foil that turns really well, but also is a bit more efficient and it pumps a bit better. It's a little bit less stable than the standard one.
Okay.
But once you learn to ride it, I feel you get a lot more performance out of that.
Little pro hack
and I
there.
also used a short fuselage, which helps you turn a bit more as well. It just makes the foil a bit more lively and, again, a little more unstable, but once you get used to it, you get a lot more performance out of it. And really with foiling, whatever you get used to, you can learn to ride it. So
that's true, yeah.
you can kind of go towards more turning and more pumping, but yeah. As I said, I prefer the low aspect foil that pumps a little bit worse, but it turns a lot better, and I prefer just to be able to turn a lot more. I'm not going to catch as many waves in one. I'm not going to do that like silly pumping round that you saw me do the other night.
Yeah. You want to get
pretty
the waves.
hard. Like you can maintain the speed when you're pumping, but you get tired. With the high aspect one, you can like slow down and you can bring it back up to speed. But with the low aspect one, if you kind of start losing it or you make a mistake, you kind of lose the pump and you come back down. But when you're on the wave, you can turn it as hard as you want to turn it. You can surf it a lot more, it feels more like surfing.
Okay.
Than the high aspect is more like cruising on small bumps and then just like exercising, pumping around, trying to get a workout in. So
it's a little price you pay for performance, basically.
And it's something that's kind of happened, and I've noticed like traveling around Australia, going to a lot of the surf foil spots. There's a lot of people doing it now, and a lot of people judge their foiling performance on how many waves in a row they can catch, and instead of how they're surfing the waves. So people, obviously it's such a novelty in surf foiling.
Yeah, definitely
to be able to pump out and catch another wave.
Yeah.
So that's half the reason it took off. I think a video of Kai Lenny at Cloudbreak like 4 or 5 years ago. It's not even that long ago, 4 years ago or something. Seems like when you look at the video, you're like, wow, this must be 20 years old. Look at the equipment he's riding.
Yeah.
It's changed so quick, but that's what everyone saw was came off one wave, pumped around and got another wave, and people were like, I want to do that.
Yeah.
And the high aspect foils, if you want to do that, you want a high aspect foil. It's more efficient, it glides better, it pumps easier, but you just lose the surfing ability. And I think a lot of people have gone towards that because it is a lot easier to pump high aspect, so everyone's kind of getting into that. Me and a few friends were calling it the trap. You kind of get trapped in this high aspect world where you can all of a sudden pump and you don't want to go back to the foil that you can't pump as well on.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden you realise you're kind of losing your surfing. You're not turning as hard. So something in the middle's nice, but for sure it's great to have 2 wings. So I love the low aspect for when there's real waves and I just want to surf. And if it's mushy and small and you're not really going to be doing any surfing anyway, then I take the high aspect and I try and link up lots of waves. And yeah, it's a good mix.
Oh, that's awesome. I just learned something new.
Yeah.
Cool, man. I appreciate it. Anything else you want to add to that video? Or?
And the other thing that I kind of really like with the lower aspect, the 1250, is it's actually still really fun to kite on. If you're not after a foil, it's all about speed. We have obviously our smaller wings. We have a 650 and an 810 that are specific for kiting. And you're not going to surf foil on them unless you maybe got towed into a really big wave. You're never going to paddle in on one of them.
Right.
But the 1250 is still super fun and playful, and because it turns so well, it's actually really fun to kite on.
Nice.
So if you were going for one wing to suit kiting and surf foiling and even sup foiling and winging, I've done all those sports on the 1250 and it works perfect for all of them. So I think that is, in the Naish range, that is the one all-rounder that you can do every sport on really well. So that's kind of an advantage I feel with that wing over the high aspect. For just to travel with one, it would definitely be that Jet 1250.
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's a lot of good stuff there. I appreciate that, dude.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Chat.
So yeah, I hope you guys found this one helpful. If you got any questions, ping us in the comment section. Hit that like and subscribe button, and we'll catch you next time.
See you later.